Well, hey, happy Friday to everybody. This is Matt Galogli with SRP Medical Marketing and the Warner James Group. Really excited to come to you this Friday. Coming in from home, as you can see, it's a little bit gray outside. A lot of rain again here in Charlotte, but you didn't dial in for this to hear me talk about the weather, did you? Well, today's topic is I want to talk to you about the razor's edge. And the razor's edge is that edge, that fine line that a lot of medical practices walk between scale and survival. And quite frankly, I'm going to talk specifically today about just some scary things that I've seen recently as I've been working on a project for one of my clients. And it has to do with them scaling. They are at the stage where they are going to scale. They are on firm ground. They're getting ready to start adding more practices, and we are working with them and helping them review new practice opportunities. And what I've been looking at and frankly helping them go through is looking at buying practices. And I want to talk to you specifically about that today, about just kind of some of the things that we have found and discovered. So in this, you may say to yourself, well, Matt, I'm just trying to survive. Well, there are lessons here for you. If you are in the survival mode, there are lessons here for you that you'll want to pay attention to. So before we get started, I do want to remind you that if you are a medical practice and you are kind of living on that razor's edge of survivability, that you're not sure whether or not you're going to be able to keep the practice open, or you have a ton of debt and you're just not able to really kind of make things work, and you're wondering if it just is time maybe to sell off to a big provider, before you do any of that, before you close the doors, before you sell off to a big provider, before you make any changes, do yourself a favor. Contact me. Let myself and my team review your situation for you at no charge to you. And we are looking for 4 practices that we can help scale, get to stability, take you off the life support, get you to stability, and help you scale. And a couple of the key things that we look for is, one, if your reimbursement rate for an office visit, for those of you that are taking insurance, and we're primarily in this group looking for people that take insurance and work with insurance, if your reimbursement rate is less than $100 on an office visit, and you're not a pediatrician, pretty much every other discipline, specialty we can work with, then you need to give me a call. You need to message down below scale, or you need to private message me. And I'll be more than happy to just get on the phone with you and ask you a couple of questions. And frankly, in about 15 to 20 minutes, I'll be able to tell you if we can help you. And if we can, I'll walk you through just some of the options of what we can do. And frankly, within 30 days, I would expect that you should have a lot more cash coming in. And within 60 to 90 days, 90 at the farthest out, you should see your revenues doubling, if not tripling. And we've done this time and time again. We've helped 20 practices throughout the US do this, add $25 million in fresh new revenue. You want to be the next success story? Then put scale below. Okay, so let's talk about this razor's edge. And again, my favorite quote that I have all the time right over my shoulder over here is by Dan Sullivan: the skills that got you out of Egypt are not the ones that are going to get you into the promised land. And so the thinking that you've had going that has got you into this place, that thinking has to stop if you want to get into the promised land. You can't have that same thought process. You can't be doing the same thing over and over again and expecting a different result. Isn't that what either Einstein or Edison said is the definition of crazy? Is doing the same thing over and over again and expecting a different result. Well, if you're doing the same thing over and over again, why do you expect a different result? You've got to change what you're doing, okay? And so, change is not a friendly thing. You might be saying to yourself, but Matt, I've tried this and I've tried that, and that's great. But I've owned practices. I know what it's like. We built 3 from the ground up and then sold them off. I know exactly what it's like to deal with this headache and to go from survivability to stability to scale. All right. So let's talk about this concept of getting to a place where you are able to scale very, very quickly. Okay. So there's a couple of things here. When you're on the razor's edge, there's a couple of fears that people have. And the first fear is that you're going to have to shut your practice down, that you've put all these years, all this effort into it, and that you're going to have to shut your practice down. That's your first fear, okay? The second fear is that you're going to sell to a large group. And by selling to a larger group or a hospital group, you really are going to become an indentured servant. That's really what happens. They'll take over your debt, they'll take over your lease, they'll guarantee your payroll and things like that. But you basically wind up then having to work for, well, you're probably already working for peanuts, but you're going to continue to work for peanuts. You're going to be graded. Your compensation plan very well could be based on, how many people do you refer out to get MRIs? They may say that they're going to pay you $150,000 a year, but you only make 90 because you didn't hit specific metrics. I mean, is that really what you want to do? Is that why you got into medicine, is to hit specific metrics? No, you got into medicine because you wanted to help people feel better. And one of the best ways to do that is to keep your clinic. All right. And then the third fear that people have is, well, I'm just going to keep drifting along and I'm never, ever going to get out of this rut. I'm going to keep wandering around the wilderness, walking around the mountain time and time again, and never walk into the promised land. And I'm going to tell you right now, that does not have to be the case. In fact, I know it's not the case because we've helped so many practices and so many clinics get to that promised land. Okay. So how are we going to do it? Well, let me tell you an interesting story. And I was on the phone yesterday with one of our one of our service providers, and he was telling me the story of a group, okay, a practice that he has been working with, doing exactly what we are talking about. And it was really, quite frankly, a fascinating story. And what I want to do is I want to bring this up a little bit, okay? And so this is a practice that I won't mention the name of the practice, but let me just tell you it was a family practice, okay? In this family practice, they had 3 MDs, a couple of nurses. They had about $180K a month in expenses. They were seeing 75 to 100 patients a day, and their revenue was $50,000 to $60,000 a month. And, that's just not a recipe for success. What's the old adage? We lose $200 per visit, but we make it up on volume. I mean, the more patients he sees, the faster he's going to go into that death spiral. This practice was in the death spiral. Okay. And so the doctors finally said, okay, we know that we have a couple of choices. We can shut the clinic down. We can sell it to a large group and become indentured servants, or we can really, that was it. I mean, because there was really no other option of just trying to keep it going, because they were having to write checks out of their own pocket each and every single month in order to cover things like payroll and rent and utilities and all of this, okay? When they went through our process, and our process is what we call strategic coding optimization, okay? When they went through our process, we were able to collect $130,000 in 2 months for them, okay? We were able to get an additional $130,000 in 2 months, okay? Within 60 days, we had them at $200K a month. So now, after 60 days, they are finally in the black, okay? Where are they now? Well, they are doing in excess of they're doing in excess of $400,000 per month, and their expenses are just over $180,000 per month. How can that be? Well, it comes down to, you can't continue to do the same thing over and over again and expect a different result, okay? Now, if you want to experience results like this, let's say you're a family practice, let's say you're maybe you're even in urgent care, or you're internal medicine, and you have some similar numbers to this, then what I want you to do is I want you to type below in the comments scale, or I want you to private message me. We are looking for 4, that's it, 4 practices in the month of March that we can add into this program and help them achieve that kind of scale. Now, I will tell you right now, I have 2 calls already set up. And I will tell you right now, based on the basic information, they'll most likely become clients simply because of what we can do. They've already shared some basic information, and I know we can turn them around. They are struggling. They're barely breaking even. Maybe they're even, one of them is actually bleeding cash, and we can certainly turn them around. So if you want to be one of those remaining 2, let's just assume that these both join us, you need to type the word scale below, okay? Again, if you're a pediatrician, I can't help you. Sorry, but we just can't do this for pediatricians. Just about every other specialty, family practice, family medicine, internal, we can do this for you, okay? So what I want you to do is I want you to type the word scale below, okay? So here's the thing. that I wanted to, and I said this at the beginning, and this was, I was telling you, I was talking about working with a client right now, and we're helping them review existing practices to buy. And I'm going to leave you with this. Here's the real interesting thing about that is I have this practice was in a place right at about 12 months ago, call it 14 months ago, that was in a place that they were questioning whether or not they could stay open. And they were looking at selling off to the large group. Well, we were able to get them turned around. Okay. Now what we're doing is we're looking at other practices for them to buy. This group, I mean, they are beyond ecstatic. And so they've had us reviewing some of these deals. Again, I've got a background kind of in doing some deals and things like that. And we were reviewing deals. And here's the thing that has amazed me in just the number of deals that I've looked at. I shouldn't be surprised, but I am kind of flabbergasted at the number of doctors. I was looking at a deal, and they barely clear $10,000 a year. Seeing 20 plus patients a day, and they're barely clearing $10,000 a year in profit. That's a lot of work for not making any money, okay? Here's my question to you. Would you rather have $10,000 a year in profit, or would you rather see $100,000 a month in profit? The second one is not out of reach, and it can be obtained in a very short amount of time just by going through our process. It's a proven process that we've helped 20 plus practices generate an additional $25 million in the last 24 months. Do you want to be one of those? Then simply type in scale, okay? Just type in the word scale below or private message me. I'm going to leave you with this on Friday is, again, maybe you've had the week that you wanted, maybe you didn't have the week that you wanted. Either one is okay. The question I have for you is, do you want to keep doing what you've been doing to get the results that you've been getting? Maybe you're getting great results and you just like listening to me, but that's fine. Maybe you're not. Chances are that you're watching this, be it on Facebook or LinkedIn or YouTube, and you're not getting the results that you want. Then let's get you the results that you want and the results that you deserve. And on top of it, then you can help treat patients the way that they're supposed to be treated so that you can get them well and not have to be held accountable to some kind of level of metrics where your compensation is based on these metrics that aren't about patient care. Let's help get patients healthy. Let's help get independent practices back on their feet, making money and serving the patients and giving them the best care that we possibly can. Thank you so much for joining us. My name is Matt. Again, if you want to scale your practice to 7 figures and beyond in the next 6 months, what I want you to do is type the word scale below, and I will schedule a call, or you can private message me and we'll schedule a call, and I'd love to talk to you and help you get to the promised land. Have a great weekend, everybody. Take care.